Hello friends. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with where you're from and what time you're watching. That way, YouTube will keep showing you stories just like this one. Now, let's begin. I've been holding this story in for nearly 40 years. What happened in Briar Ridge, West Virginia, during the mid-'80s still feels like something torn straight out of a nightmare. I was 13 years old in 1983, living with my mom, Linda, and my stepdad, Ray, in a tiny Appalachian town where nothing ever changed until those letters started showing up. Briar Ridge had maybe 1,000 people, tops. Everyone knew everyone, and everybody's business was public knowledge, or so we thought. Ray worked the late shift at Hollow Creek Mine, and Mom ran a small general store near the post office, which made her the unofficial hub of town gossip. Our house sat halfway up Pine Hollow Road, an old white building with a squeaky porch swing and an overgrown apple tree in the front yard. Life was quiet, predictable. And then, the letters began. It started one Monday morning in March of 1983. Mrs. Carlton, our neighbor from 2 doors down, burst into the store clutching a white envelope like it had burned her fingers. Her face was pale, her hands shaking. She said someone had left it in her mailbox overnight. No stamp, no return address, just her name written in perfect block letters with blue ink. Inside was a single sheet of paper listing every dollar her husband had secretly lost at the racetrack in Charleston, including dates, betting slips, and the exact amount they still owed. The thing was, her husband had died 3 years earlier, and those debts were supposed to be long gone. No one outside their family could have possibly known. That same week, 3 more letters appeared across town. The Mullins family got one exposing how their teenage daughter had been shoplifting makeup from the pharmacy. The Carter brothers, who ran the gas station, received one accusing them of secretly diluting fuel with water to save money, which turned out to be true. And old Reverend Hall got one detailing a hidden affair from years before, naming the woman, the motel, and even the dates. The details were too precise to dismiss as gossip. Somebody was digging deep, or watching very, very closely. By summer, Briar Ridge wasn't the same town anymore. People stopped chatting at the diner. Church attendance dropped, and everyone was looking over their shoulders. Each envelope was the same, plain white paper, blue ballpoint handwriting, hand-delivered at night. No one ever saw who left them. The sheriff, Earl Donnelly, tried to catch the culprit. He even set up night patrols near the post office and the main road. But the letters kept showing up anyway. Always in someone's mailbox, always perfectly timed. Then came the one that changed everything. It was July 1984 when the Ellis family received their letter. It claimed that their daughter, Mary Ann, just 16, had been sneaking out at night to meet a married truck driver in a nearby county. The letter included Polaroid photos of them together, motel receipts, and even the man's license plate number. Mr. Ellis, a quiet, respected mechanic, snapped. He drove straight to the man's home with his shotgun and confronted him in front of his wife and kids. A fight broke out, and the man ended up shot in the shoulder. Mary Ann tried to take her own life that same night. She survived, thank God. But after that, our town crossed a line it could never uncross. Fear turned into hysteria. The letters weren't just ruining reputations, they were destroying lives. Over the next few months, more families were hit. The Bartons got a letter exposing how the father had embezzled church funds for years. The Graysons were accused of lying about their son's college scholarship, complete with forged documents. And when Sheriff Donnelly himself received one, revealing he'd been taking bribes from a local construction company, he resigned the next day. By the start of 1985, Briar Ridge had fallen apart. People installed padlocks on their mailboxes. Neighbors who'd once shared coffee every morning now refused to speak. Families packed up and left in the middle of the night. It wasn't just the secrets, it was the accuracy. Whoever was behind the letters knew intimate things: private conversations, bank statements, police files. It was like someone had access to every diary, every whisper, every locked drawer in town. In late 1985, something about the letters shifted. They stopped revealing old secrets and started predicting future ones. The Danvers family received a letter saying their son would be caught stealing from the hardware store at 2:15 p.m. on a Thursday. He was. The Collins family got one saying their daughter would crash her boyfriend's car that Sunday night. She did. People started saying the writer could see the future, or maybe was manipulating events to make their predictions come true. Either way, Briar Ridge lost its mind. Nobody trusted anyone. Even the mail carrier quit out of fear she'd be blamed. Mom begged Ray to move us away, but he refused. "You can't run from your own shadow," he said. I didn't understand what that meant, not until we got our letter. It came on a cold morning in February 1986. A white envelope, just like all the others, sitting in our rusty mailbox. It was addressed simply to the Rutherfords. Inside was a single sheet of paper that said, "Your husband has falsified safety reports at Hollow Creek Mine. Check the West Shaft records from last September." Ray went pale when he read it. He didn't even deny it. He admitted he'd been cutting corners to save time, and that a few near accidents had been covered up to keep production high. Mom was furious, but mostly terrified. The next week, the mining company suspended him. 3 months later, there was an explosion in that same West Shaft. 2 men died. If Ray hadn't been exposed, he might have been one of them. For a while, I thought maybe the letter writer had saved us. But I was wrong. March 1988, exactly 5 years after the first letter. By then, half the town was gone. Most of the houses on Pine Hollow Road sat empty, windows boarded, lawns dead. Mom still ran the store, though few customers ever came by anymore. That morning, she found a large envelope with a message written in the same blue ink. But this time, it wasn't addressed to a person. It was addressed to everyone who remains. Inside was one sentence: "Truth has been restored. The debt is paid. My work here is finished." And that was it. No signature, no more letters. Nothing. After that day, the mailboxes stayed empty. No one ever saw another envelope, not in Briar Ridge or any neighboring town. Some folks believed the writer had died. Others said they'd moved on to another town to cleanse it. All I know is that our lives never returned to normal. Ray left the state 2 years later and never came back. Mom sold the store and moved in with relatives in Ohio. And Briar Ridge, it just withered. The school shut down. Businesses boarded up. Now, only a few houses still stand, covered in vines and silence. Sometimes, when I visit what's left of Pine Hollow Road, I swear I can still see mailboxes leaning at odd angles, and wonder if, somewhere deep inside, there's still one white envelope left unopened. For years, I've tried to figure out who was behind it all. Was it someone local? A miner? A postal worker? Or maybe someone who just wanted to watch our tiny world burn. But the part that chills me most isn't who sent them. It's how right they always were. Every secret exposed, every prediction fulfilled. As if the writer wasn't just watching us, but inside our lives, steering us toward our own destruction. Briar Ridge became a ghost town built on guilt, truth, and silence. And the few of us left, we still check our mailboxes every morning. Not because we expect another letter, but because we're terrified one might finally arrive. Back in the late 90s, I was living in Maple Hollow, Iowa, one of those small, slow-moving Midwestern towns where everyone waves, everyone smiles, and everyone thinks they know everyone else. I'd been working part-time at Benton's Hardware, fixing old door hinges and helping folks find nails that fit into walls older than most of us. Life was quiet, predictable. At home, I took care of my Aunt Margaret, who'd been recovering from knee surgery. She was 71, sharp as a tack and as stubborn as an ox. She swore she didn't need my help, but I think deep down, she liked the company. Every Thursday morning, we'd drive to Drayton's Pharmacy, the oldest one in town. It was a cozy place with old oak shelves, the faint smell of peppermint oil, and a bell that jingled every time someone walked in. The owner, Mr. Lionel Drayton, was a familiar face to everyone in Maple Hollow. White coat, silver hair, calm smile. He'd been filling prescriptions for nearly 30 years. People trusted him more than they trusted their doctors. So when Mrs. Harper, the librarian, passed away in her sleep that October, no one thought much of it. She was old, lived alone, and had some health issues. Heart failure, they said. But then, only 4 days later, Mr. Dean Wilcox, the retired high school football coach, was found dead the same way. Peacefully, quietly. No signs of pain or struggle. 2 healthy seniors gone within a week. People whispered about bad luck. But Margaret, she noticed something first. She told me one morning that her vitamins tasted different. Not bitter, not spoiled, just off. She joked that they tasted like a wet penny, and I laughed it off at first, figuring maybe she'd caught a cold or her taste buds were off. But then I noticed a faint chemical smell from her pill bottle, sharp and sour, like burnt plastic. That night, when she went to bed, I took a closer look at the bottle. Right around the cap was a small warped spot, like the plastic had melted or reacted to something. I didn't know what to think. It didn't feel right to throw it away. So I tucked it into a drawer in the kitchen. Over the next few days, Margaret started getting dizzy after breakfast, then nauseous. By day 4, she could barely stand. We stopped the pills immediately. She said she just needed rest, but I knew something wasn't right. I went to Drayton's Pharmacy the next morning. The clerk, Eli, took the bottle, glanced at it for 2 seconds and said, "Sometimes the sealing machines overheat. Happens all the time." Then he added, "We'll replace it free of charge," and slid the bottle away before I could say another word. When I asked to keep it, he refused, said it was policy. That tiny flicker in his eyes told me something. He knew something, but he wasn't going to say it. That night, I went through Margaret's old receipts and realized both Mrs. Harper and Mr. Wilcox had their prescriptions filled at the same pharmacy. Both took the same new Silver Life Senior multivitamins Drayton's had started promoting that summer. It wasn't until I spoke with Janet Hollow, who ran the diner downtown, that it really sank in. Her father had died in August, peacefully, quietly, in his sleep. He'd also switched to those same vitamins after Mr. Drayton himself personally recommended them. Something cold crawled down my spine. I wasn't trying to play detective. I just didn't want to lose Margaret. But once you start connecting dots in a small town, the picture that forms is never pretty. By early November, I counted 7 deaths since June, all older residents, all under peaceful circumstances, and all customers of Drayton's Pharmacy. When I brought it up at the hardware store, people looked at me like I was crazy. "It's old age," they said. "Coincidence?" But in Maple Hollow, we didn't have coincidences. We had habits, routines, predictability, and something was breaking that pattern. A week later, a woman showed up at my doorstep. She was young, early 30s maybe, with a press badge clipped to her coat. Clara Devine, freelance journalist. She said she'd heard rumors of a spike in elderly deaths and was looking for anyone who'd noticed something odd. I told her about the vitamins, the bottle, the chemical smell. Her face went pale. She said similar reports had surfaced in 2 nearby counties. Different pharmacy names, but the same brand of supplements. Clara managed to get a sample from another family, and when a local university lab tested it, the results were terrifying. There were traces of a synthetic toxin, chemically altered potassium cyanate, a compound that could mimic a heart attack in small doses, lethal for seniors, practically invisible on standard tests. The news hit like a bomb. Clara's article went live 3 days later under the headline, "Something Deadly in Maple Hollow's Medicine Cabinet." At first, everyone thought it was a smear job. Then, the autopsies started getting re-examined. And suddenly, those peaceful deaths didn't look so peaceful anymore. Police raided Drayton's pharmacy 2 days after the article published. I still remember the sirens echoing down Main Street, red and blue lights flashing against the frosted shop windows. They arrested Lionel Drayton, the same man who'd given out candy to kids and Christmas cards to widows. Turns out, he wasn't just selling pills, he was engineering them. Investigators found hidden inventory logs in his back office, lists of specific clients, dosages, and something labeled LVT, adjustment schedule. Later, they discovered LVT stood for low visibility toxin. Mr. Drayton had been quietly running a scheme tied to life insurance payouts. He'd convinced several elderly customers to sign trust forms, giving him financial power to manage medical benefits. In reality, those documents gave him partial control of small insurance policies. Every customer death earned him a payout. He wasn't just poisoning vitamins, he was calculating lives. Margaret's pills were tested too. Same compound. The doctor told me if we hadn't stopped when we did, she would have been gone within a week. I didn't sleep for days after hearing that. I kept picturing her pouring those tiny white pills into her hand every morning, trusting them, trusting him. That same trust everyone in town had for decades. When Drayton's trial began, the courtroom was packed. Neighbors, old customers, even his own church pastor. He looked calm, too calm, like he was still wearing that mask he'd shown us for years. Polite, warm, fatherly. The prosecution revealed the most chilling piece of evidence. A notebook found in his desk, filled with names, each followed by a date, dosage, and a small check mark. Margaret's name was there too. Beside it, second phase. Incomplete. I don't think I've ever felt my blood go that cold before. Those weren't just victims. They were neighbors, friends. He'd been keeping score. Drayton eventually confessed, not out of guilt, but because the evidence was overwhelming. He said he'd started small, experimenting with doses to see what the body could handle. When no one suspected, he expanded the plan. They called him the gentle poisoner of Maple Hollow in the papers. But to me, he was just the man who used to smile and ask how my aunt's knee was healing. He died in prison 2 years later. Heart failure, ironically. The pharmacy building sat empty for nearly a decade after that. The new owners turned it into a coffee shop, but nobody ever really forgot what it used to be. People avoided sitting near the back wall, the one that used to hide his storage room. Maple Hollow changed after that. Folks stopped trusting small-town charm, stopped believing that friendly smiles meant safe hands. Margaret moved to live with my cousin in Montana. I stayed behind, running the hardware store, pretending things were normal. But every time I passed that corner on Elm and Pine, where the red pharmacy sign once hung, I still feel it. That faint, metallic smell. The one that started it all. Because evil doesn't always arrive with knives or monsters. Sometimes it comes in small white pills. And a man who remembers your name. I grew up in Ash Grove, Kansas, a quiet patch of earth that hadn't changed much since the 80s. Population, 900, give or take a few. The kind of town where people still waved when you passed by, and where gossip moved faster than wind through wheat. In 1996, I was 25, working at my dad's small supply store off Route 7. We sold everything from nails to livestock feed, and most mornings, folks would drop in just to talk. Everyone trusted everyone in Ash Grove. We didn't lock our doors, didn't question the tap water, and didn't imagine evil could exist among us. That summer was dry, one of those scorching Midwestern seasons where the ground cracked and the air shimmered. I remember the day it all began because it was hotter than sin. Around noon, Mrs. Langford, a farmer's wife who lived a few miles east, staggered into our store. Her dress was soaked in sweat, her lips pale and cracked. She gripped the counter with shaking hands and said in a voice barely louder than a breath, "Something's wrong with the water." Before I could ask, she collapsed right there between the aisles of gardening tools. By that evening, half the town was whispering the same thing. Families out by East Hollow Road were getting violently sick. Vomiting, dizzy spells, tremors. Livestock were dying in their stalls. The Patterson twins, just 8 years old, were airlifted to Wichita after they started vomiting blood. At first, we thought it was a bacterial outbreak, or maybe pesticides. But what made it strange was who was getting sick. Not everyone, just people who lived on the outskirts, all using private wells. Folks in the town center, like us, were fine. My dad, who'd always been methodical about things, pulled out an old county map and started marking the households that reported illness. Within an hour, a pattern formed. The red marks curved like a horseshoe along the southern edge of Ash Grove, forming a perfect boundary line near the old ranch lands. It was too precise. Too intentional. 3 days later, the state environmental department rolled into town. Hazmat suits, testing kits, all of it. Our school gym became their base of operations. The lead investigator, Dr. Evelyn Marsh, was a sharp-eyed woman with a calm but heavy voice. I'll never forget her words when she pulled me aside after dinner one night. We found traces of industrial solvents, TCE, benzene, and lead, in multiple wells. Someone's been introducing these chemicals deliberately. Deliberately. That word sent a chill through me. These weren't farm chemicals or runoff from old tanks. They were specialized compounds, expensive, restricted use stuff. Someone in town had access, knowledge, and motive. Over the next few days, fear spread faster than the sickness. People began side-eyeing their neighbors, locking gates, carrying bottled water like gold. The doctors said the contamination must have been happening slowly for months, maybe longer, before reaching lethal levels. Then, one night, as the sun dipped over the wheat fields, Dr. Marsh showed up at our house with an FBI agent named Carl Denton. They laid out a satellite map on our kitchen table. Every red pin, the contaminated wells, bordered land owned by a single man, Reed Callahan. Reed was one of the wealthiest men in the county. He owned Callahan Cattle Company, a sprawling 2,500-acre ranch that bordered half the east side of Ash Grove. Everyone respected him. He donated to the local church, sponsored the high school football team, even paid for the new fire truck 2 years prior. The idea that he could be behind this was unthinkable. But the evidence kept piling up. Reed had been quietly trying to buy out neighboring properties for years, offering low prices, promising fair deals to struggling farmers. Most refused. Those who did, their wells were now contaminated. The FBI found that every affected property lay on land. Reed wanted for a massive cattle expansion. It wasn't random poisoning. It was economic warfare. The chemicals had been injected directly into the wells through tiny drill holes near the caps, disguised so perfectly that most folks wouldn't notice. They even found a custom drill bit designed for underground fluid injection at Reed's ranch workshop. I remember the morning they arrested him. It was cloudy, humid, and eerily quiet. I stood across from the Callahan Ranch gate as a line of unmarked black SUVs rolled up the dirt road. Reed was out front, trimming hedges, wearing that same calm smile he always had. When they put him in cuffs, he didn't fight, didn't speak, just looked out across his land, expression blank. Inside his barn, agents found chemical drums buried under feed sacks, property maps with red X's on each contaminated well, and a ledger showing thousands in off-the-books payments to a fake chemical distributor in Texas. When the news broke, it shattered Ashgrove like glass. The man we'd trusted most, the one who'd prayed beside us every Sunday, had been poisoning our town to drive families off their land. The trial dragged on for months. He never confessed, never apologized, just stared blankly as families testified about dead livestock, hospital bills, and ruined lives. He was eventually sentenced to life without parole, though some say he still maintains his innocence. It's been nearly 30 years now, but I still can't drink from a well. Not even bottled water without checking the seal twice. The land around Ashgrove recovered, but the people didn't. Not really. Even now, when I drive past those empty farmhouses with boarded windows and silent windmills, I swear the ground remembers. Evil doesn't always come with a gun or a mask. Sometimes it wears a cowboy hat, shakes your hand, and asks how your crops are doing. I was working maintenance for the Willow County Roads Department back in the summer of '98. It wasn't glamorous work, just long, quiet days patching asphalt, clearing branches, repainting road markers. The kind of job where you learn to appreciate silence more than company. Everyone in town knew everyone, or at least their pickup trucks. That Thursday started like any other. I clocked in a little before 6, loaded the truck with cones and gravel, and drove east toward Highway 23, a narrow, forgotten stretch, cutting through cornfields and windbreaks. Around mid-afternoon, the heat shimmered on the blacktop, so bad you could almost see it breathe. I pulled over near a rest stop about 6 miles outside of Lisbon Creek. You've probably seen the type. 2 rusted picnic tables, a dead vending machine, a bathroom that smells like a war between bleach and mildew. Nothing fancy, just a pit stop for truckers and lost travelers. I'd driven past it hundreds of times, never thought twice. That day felt off. I can't really explain it. Not spooky, just wrong somehow. Like the world had missed a beat. As I came around the bend, I noticed a sheriff's cruiser parked crooked at the far end of the lot, half in the grass, facing the trees. The lights weren't on, but the engine was idling, rumbling low like a sleeping dog. At first, I figured maybe the deputy was inside taking a call or a nap. But as I rolled closer, I saw the driver's door hanging wide open. I parked my truck, hopped out, and called, "Hey, everything all right?" No answer. The radio inside was still alive with static and dispatch chatter. A half-finished bottle of Gatorade sat in the cup holder, sweating in the heat. I recognized the name on the laptop screen. Deputy Aaron Mendez. Aaron was young, 27 maybe. Good guy. Everyone liked him. The last time I saw him was at Miller's Diner, buying coffee for an old ranch hand who'd lost his wallet. He wasn't the kind of man to leave his cruiser running and walk off into the woods. I didn't touch anything. Just stepped back and called the non-emergency line, told them what I saw. While I waited, I scanned the area. The rest stop sat between a dry cornfield and a thick stretch of timber, the kind of woods where light struggles to reach the ground. Everything was still. Not peaceful, just still, like the air had weight. Within 20 minutes, 2 patrol units arrived, followed by an unmarked black SUV. They roped the place off fast. One deputy, a woman I didn't know, asked me to explain what I'd seen. She kept her tone polite but sharp, like she was reading my heartbeat. They searched the area, but there was nothing. No footprints, no tire tracks except mine and the cruiser's. Just a faint smear on the passenger handle, a greasy mark, like someone with dirty gloves had touched it. I mentioned it. Don't know if it mattered. By sunset, the whole scene was crawling with officers. They towed the car away that evening. That night, Willow County lit up with rumors. The local radio host said Mendez had been working on a smuggling case. Folks at the bar swore they'd seen a white van parked at that rest stop the night before. Others said it was just burnout, that maybe Aaron walked away from it all. But one thing everyone agreed on: his last radio call came in just after 12:42 a.m. A routine check. Then nothing. No distress signal, no backup request. Just silence. The next morning, the sheriff's department launched a full-scale search. Volunteers, dogs, drones, helicopters, the whole works. I joined the Saturday grid search with a few guys from my road crew. We spent hours trudging through tall corn, the stalks brushing against our shoulders, whispering in the wind. Nothing. Not a footprint, not a torn shirt, not even a dropped bullet casing. It was like he'd been erased. Still, whispers spread. A few of the searchers said they stumbled across a clearing deep in the woods, one that wasn't marked on any map. They said it looked used. A circle of burned ground, tire ruts, bits of broken plastic. No one officially mentioned it, but the rumor grew legs fast. By Monday, federal agents had taken over. The local deputies stopped giving updates. Everything got quiet. Too quiet. A week later, a farmer named Eldon Craver, whose property bordered the east side of the woods, found something odd near his fence line. A uniform jacket. Torn, covered in mud, name patch still attached. A Mendez. He said it had been buried under brush, like someone tried to hide it but gave up halfway. They never said it publicly, but everyone heard the same thing. There was blood on the collar. That afternoon, unmarked trucks rolled onto Eldon's land. Men in suits and gloves cleared the area, dug into the soil, scanned the ground with metal detectors. By evening, the site was marked off with tape, and a line of black vehicles blocked the road. Eldon told me later that they found faint tire impressions leading into a hidden dirt path that didn't appear on any county survey maps. A back trail that wound deep into the woods and came out near the river bend. Nobody had any idea it existed. Aaron Mendez was never found. No body, no weapon, no footprints. Nothing. But about a month later, I got a message on Facebook from a blank account. No name, no profile picture, just one line. He tried to do the right thing. Keep quiet if you want to stay safe. I deleted it instantly, logged off. Didn't sleep the rest of the night. The sheriff's department eventually held a memorial service for Aaron. Full honors. Bagpipes, folded flag, 21-gun salute. The whole town showed up. His mother spoke through tears. But standing there on Main Street, watching the procession of flashing cruisers glide by, I couldn't shake the image of that idling car, the open door, the radio whispering static. He'd stepped out for something quick, something he thought was small, and whatever he saw that night swallowed him whole. Months later, while grading a new service road near the river, I spotted a half-buried tire tread along a patch of gravel that shouldn't have been disturbed. I followed it maybe 30 feet before it vanished into the brush. It was the same make as the black SUV that came to Eldon's farm that week. I didn't report it. I just turned back, packed my gear, and left. Every time I passed that old rest stop, now boarded up, vending machines gone, tables rotting into splinters, I slow down, but I don't stop. The woods still stand behind it, silent and watching. People say there's nothing out there, but I know better. Whatever happened that night, whatever he stumbled into, it wasn't random. It was organized, practiced, and powerful enough to erase a man without leaving a trace. And the scariest part, it worked. Because all these years later, nobody asks about Deputy Aaron Mendez anymore.